together now. Now remember, this is going to be a film. It's going to be a story about People's Temple. So what the people see on the film, if you do it right now when they film you, what they're going to have an impression of is the temple. So right now you're representing all of us. You're representing Jim. You're representing principle, peace, love, and brotherhood. Regina, can you move over to where
And all of a sudden, Jim, he stopped the service and he said, "Help me, help me." And he turned to me. He said, "You read the book. People running through the street, a doctor running through the street, hearing the cries of people trapped underneath the buildings, crying for help." He said, "You read the book Hiroshima." And he told me different reactions I had to it, the hopelessness I felt of being overwhelmed with people's need and not being able to help all these people, hundreds of people trapped in the building. I was such a depressed person at the time. It just overwhelmed me, the whole world situation, and it really struck me hard that this exact thing that I wanted. This is something that I had wanted to express to people, how hopeless I felt about this.
There was a person, in the person of Jim, who showed such concern, such tenderness and love for children and for animals, that I just couldn't believe it. And I was overwhelmed. For a while I just sat there and I said, "No, this isn't real."
Jim had a revelation. He was aware of the words that were being spoken and said that when we people like sheep were becoming disarrayed and that we needed to be together.
And I know that it's the Spirit.
I'm going to request him to sing. I think he ought to sing.
Every time on each day, and I know they feel the presence of the Lord. Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly God.
It was some years ago, in about the year 1955, I was staying at the YMCA, and I saw in the recorded paper advertising about People's Temple. No one told me it was God or anything. No one asked me was I saved or anything like that. But it was just a warm atmosphere there, and I felt the presence of God there. Well, he called me later and says, why didn't you come back to the temple? So I thought no pastor ever asked me to come to the temple before or while I wasn't in church. So I went back, and he even offered me to sit down in the seat where he was sitting at the table to eat. He said, "You can have my seat." And the people drove me home, Well, all these things touched me. I was having trouble at home. I stayed in my auntie, and she said, you was raised a Baptist, and said, you're going to the white man's church. I said, it's not the white man's church. I said, this is God's church. And then since I've been out here, I've been exposed to more of his love, which is I don't know how many times it's multiplied over that time, and it's just really made a great change in my life.
I'm going to request him to sing.
Get it quick, will you? Because he's disturbed. I don't want to have to correct him. Not today.
Beautiful. That's good. Beautiful.
Come on.
Was he going to be experimented on or something?
Yes, yeah. No. That's no. That's a no. And I don't want to have to correct you today. No. I don't want to have to spank. No. That's all right. It's all right. I'm going to let him loose. Okay?
For a while, the middle-class atmosphere seems to, you get wrapped up in it eventually, and for a while it seems satisfying. But after, looking around and making a few observations and reading the papers and traveling a little and talking to people, the redundancy of every day seemed to build up a momentum and eventually made me feel stifled, suppressed, and you're just going to work every day, doing your thing, and perhaps enjoying a few middle-class gratuities, and that's it.
I come from background that was Jewish. I was raised in a temple. Richard's, by the way, was Catholic. We both had these formal religious backgrounds. And there wasn't anything, it was like we are special people. In other words, the religion is just for those people that were there. Life is just for those people that were observing that religion. It was very exclusive. I've tried self-awareness groups, meditation groups. I kind of vain about having many friends on many different levels of our current society, and it seemed, I just seemed not to be able to find what was meaningful to me. No one person's lifestyle hung on to me.
When Jim spoke, I was deeply moved by his persuasive manner and his charisma and his remarkable usage of words, and how he reached down into my consciousness and said, Richard, you're not doing anything worth doing at this moment.
And this power, whatever you may call it, comes out of the extraordinary love that is in the universe that he is able to manifest.
Divine love, and I think he's a manifestation of this. He's is capable of moving mountains, and I believe that Jim Jones can express this divinity more than any man alive.
What's the emphasis in your religious teaching?
Christianity as it was originally, as it was on the day of Pentecost, and there was a sense of cohesiveness, closeness. And we feel that this is absolutely necessary in our time when there's such alienation between people, races, but not only just ethnic and racial groups, but people in general. And we feel that there must be a restoration of that closeness, that family togetherness that there was in the early days, where people served together and were solicitous for everyone's welfare in the total church family. The state we came from had been more or less ruled by the Ku Klux Klan many years ago, until the Grand Dragon had gotten involved with molesting of a child, and subsequent death, and the charge of murder was placed against him. Many of our homes had been vandalized, and we had been harassed, and even our lives threatened because of our stand on integration. That's how we come to make the decision here. And we started with about 141 people, and from that we've grown to a very thriving congregation of a few thousand. He's a people rooster. Says, I want to be a people. All right. Come on over, baby George. That's my fine rooster, but he doesn't get along with any other chicken. Now you know better than that. Now look, I didn't do it to you. It's this guy that did it. You haven't been in love for a month. Been too busy. We have about every level of society, all socioeconomic income strata, from professional down to the ordinary field worker, field labor, and mill worker. Really, it's beautiful to see that all these divisions have been broken down, not only race, but any differences of economic position. We don't recognize these kind of barriers in our group. There's just a warm fellowship and acceptance of all people.
he came over to me and he started talking to me, and he said, he told me I was feeling very suicidal at that time, which I was. And so he showed me, he said, I have a lot of stuff to do tonight. He said, I'll cancel it all if you'll just talk to me. And I wouldn't talk at that time. I went through about, I guess about 3 or 4 months before I would even talk. And I don't know. It took me a long time, and I felt so much love at that time that a man he'd give up everything that night just so that I'd talk, just say one word to me.
I saw the divine love from Jim and from the people that was around me. At first, it really just shocked me when a white person came by me and gave me a kiss. I mean, I just got scared to death. It just came to me and gave me a kiss. I didn't know what to do but turn around and kiss her, like that. And through the divine love from Jim and the people that are working beside him and the people that are working around him, that's the love that love is transferring to me. And with that love, I return it to other people.
We decided that we owed our children something in terms of a more wholesome life. We lived in a ghetto because I served in an area where civil rights were. I'm off now.
Let's just take your time.
Hold it. Just hold it. Let's go again.
And what happens to people when they come here?
What happens to them?
Right. I mean, they're coming here from something because they see, they're attracted to this principle.
They find love and acceptance, fulfillment. Modern maturity. Publications American Association of Retired Persons. I didn't think you'd retired.
Not around you.
Happy activists. That's what they are in this house. Her healing here has done so much for her. And she had to travel when she joined our church on the airlines at her own risk. They put a sign around her neck. And it's amazing that when she got here, she got up, and she's been up and never been back down.
I don't expect to go down.
She heard of this community, and she made up her mind to get here at any cost. And the airline said if you travel, she had to travel at her own risk. But she's been traveling these buses without any risk. All the trips.
Thanks to you.
Oh, you're kind. You going to go to Texas with me when I have that campaign?
I was just wondering whether I could go or not. I would love to go.
Why, of course you'll go. You went to Mexico with me.
Yes, I did.
You swam in the ocean.
Oh,
all the way to
right.
Canada in the tents.
Yes, I'd love to go.
When we camped out there.
I sure did.
You ought to be a model for all the senior citizens of America.
Slept on the ground.
She did.
Had a
The sleeping
wonderful
bag. She preferred to sleep in the sleeping
the
bag.
ocean.
Swam in the ocean. First time you were out of the country, wasn't it? In all of your 96 years, that was the first time, wasn't it?
That was the first time. Yes, the first time we ever took a trip like this. On the ocean, I've been in Atlantic City. That's years ago.
Well, I'll see you later. I'll see you later.
Okay, Father.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Father. Good to see you.
Here's Papa.
Papa Himes?
Papa Himes.
Yes. Well, here we come into the seaweed. Oh, my. I wish you'd always been in our church. We would have been 40 years without painting. You're a Grandma Moses.
I'm not. I'm no grandma of anybody's.
No, you're not. I don't
No,
mean
I'm
that.
not.
I mean, but you've got the talent that she had. You refuse to think of age, and that is a good idea.
Yes, indeed. I'm getting
It's
younger
working
every
for
day.
you.
Getting younger every day, darling.
You look younger every
Yeah,
day.
I do just look like a boy, you know that?
Oh,
Honestly, you really do. You're so beautiful, darling.
I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you're so kind. She belonged to another church that said this interfered with her relationship with God, and I never could quite understand how this beautiful painting could interfere with her relationship with God. So we said for her to get back into it and provide her the equipment, and she has not wasted a minute. Thank you for inviting me in.
Oh, Father.
What a magnificent bird you are. What a magnificent bird. Oh, yes, you are. A magnificent bird.
opposite, Lord.
Indeed.
And we feel that the church has great relevance today. Jesus Christ had the most revolutionary teachings to be said, in the sense that he said to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, take in the stranger, minister to those the widows and afflicted in their suffering. And we feel that no one really tried Christianity too effectively, or the Judeo-Christian tradition. And if it is tried, and it will be exonerated, and it offers the panacea for world order. Archie out there, he designed this and did most of the work on this particular annex. Come in, Archie, and let them meet you. He's also the associate minister at People's Temple. Tremendous, the community center also.
Most builders really never complete a job because of the technical aspects of completion, like finishing and so on. And I'm perfectionist by inclination.
It shows too.
There's some small minor details right here not quite complete. I'm just noticing now, but we'll get to it the next few days, hopefully, and get the job finished.
I worked in it, and I was some of his unskilled labor.
As a matter of fact, the architect said to me after some changes that we had made in their plans, he said, you know, it's good to work with somebody like you for a change. Most people don't use their heads, he says, and you do.
Archie was an Adventist minister.
Where'd you get your sense of humor? Well, it doesn't strange, but in my religious background, I was taught you could never be funny thing to be amused about. You had to be serious, somber, and being around this wonderful family that showed such a passionate care, it broke down my inhibitions and made it possible for me to really be myself. Matter of fact, it was considered sin. They said a sin, yes. Laughter? Anything that bordered on the area of humor was supposed to be sinful. And quite frankly, I had to watch myself from being guilty. There was a scripture that they used about joviality. Neither foolish talking,
yes, that's
nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
The most discriminated against perhaps of any group, and I really don't feel comfortable with our worship being photographed. I really don't. I must go against the entire council. I don't feel good about it. They can photograph me all they choose, because I do not care. I'm fearless. I come unafraid of anything, but I don't want the cameras focusing on others. I don't want them. Focus on me all you want. I owe something to my people, and that's to be a good pastor, and that I am, the best I am. If you want to go out and tell them something that I stand for about social action, social justice, ask me your questions, and I'll tell you right straight from the shoulder where I stand. You want to get out there? I'll tell you.
I tried, through Protestant, Catholic, Quakerism, I tried Eastern religions, and there was always something missing. Sometimes I thought I almost had it because there was a lot of concern, there was a lot of good qualities in all these churches, but something was missing.
You found an idea that's worth building on. Let's give you a sense of peace and purpose, and a present destiny.
I am rather pressed to get to a situation now where someone has called me in the community, a member of another church, where their daughter is suicidal. I appreciate the sensitivity you young men have shown for our program. I can see that you have a concern for your fellow man by the way things you've shown interest in. I think I'm going to have to leave at this time. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fine. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
With all due respect to people in the media, there's no way of reflection on them. I just have found that media in a society such as ours isn't privileged to really tell the truth. That's my feeling. It's just not privileged to tell the truth. So we have great respect for these young people. Some of them are committed to their ideals of serving their fellow man. I'm not so sure what happens as things go on up through the bureaus and through the agencies. I know that there's a terrible repression in this land, and I'm deeply concerned about it. But there's something so deeply sacred about worship. It's like romance between two people. It's our romance together in a higher plane. And I don't want it ever again, there'll never be a permission on my part to allow anyone to come in and photograph you. No.